All right. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Tonight is Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. This is your evening tropical update. We'll continue to track three areas of interest tonight in the Atlantic Basin, none of which more important than Invest 99L, a robust tropical wave in the central Caribbean. This is expected to track generally off to the west-northwest and is likely to become a tropical depression or storm by tomorrow evening, and it does threaten the western and central Gulf Coast, anywhere from Texas to Mississippi, as early as Sunday, and if not on Monday, and could potentially be a strong hurricane. We have a definite serious threat taking shape tonight in the central Caribbean, and things are going to fall into place pretty quick with this. This will be the vast majority of the video, but I just wanted to mention we do have two other areas of interest in the Atlantic. Neither of them are going to be a threat to the U.S. You have one of these is 97 and one's 98L. I think this is 97. And big wave over in the central Atlantic. This is going to generally move away, though, to the east. It could actually become a nice little storm as it moves off. And then there's this other tropical wave struggling tonight in an outbreak of Sahara dust and more stable air. This is trying to follow the other storm to the north. For right now, neither of those waves are a problem. And the African wave train back there is about to go nuts. And we're going to have plenty more of these into September. It's probably going to be a marathon for the next couple weeks, especially with this one this week. But the rest of that crap can wait until then because we got some bigger fish to fry in the short term. So, Hurricane Center's evening map, the disturbance we're talking about, Invest 99L, up to an 80% chance of development. And the Hurricane Center's even went ahead and put in the language that this could bring, storm surge, wind, heavy rainfall to portions of Louisiana, Texas, or even northern Mexico late this week and early next week. That is rare if they put that in a discussion for just these general tropical weather outlooks before anything is formed yet. So, looking at satellite presentation of 99L this evening, a couple things have changed from yesterday to today. So, one of the things we talked about yesterday was where exactly the system is going to form. We thought that the formation could be anywhere from near Jamaica to the central Caribbean, all the way down here in the southern Caribbean, and that would change your starting point, depending on where exactly within this wave the low level center wanted to spin up. Well, 99L is making it pretty clear this evening that we're going to be favoring this more northern lobe. You got this broad mid level rotation already underway in this very nice wave envelope. You got great outflow now in two channels. And this thing is it's healthier than I think a lot of models expected and a lot of forecasts expected. And probably instead of looking towards Friday for development, we're probably going to see it tomorrow. I think we're going to have a tropical depression 9 by tomorrow morning or early afternoon. The hurricane hunters are going to go in tomorrow afternoon and investigate the system. And Ida will not be far behind that because this wave looks really good tonight. So that's the other caveat. If you have a faster developing storm and you have a storm that's showing us that it's very, very likely to form on this northern lobe. The northern lobe means there's less of a chance of a southerly track into Central America, into the Yucatan, and that's taking a lot of solutions into Mexico off the table and instead putting them into the Gulf of Mexico. So let's go ahead and look at the short term. We're going to take you back to tomorrow morning, both GFS and the Euro as we back these models up a little bit. So this is what both models expect to see tomorrow morning. Broad wave envelope with a consolidating center somewhere just south of Jamaica. This is supported well by both GFS and European model. And let's go ahead and take you out to Saturday morning. So both the GFS and the Euro now have a tropical storm off the coast of the tip of Cuba, off of western Cuba, by Saturday morning. Now, there's some small differences. The GFS has what looks like almost a hurricane and is a bit further north. The European is a little bit further south and is a little more broad with the general um, storm itself. But generally, both these models have the same idea. Okay, so I would say, a high confidence that a tropical storm, potentially a strong tropical storm, is going to be entering the Gulf of Mexico Saturday morning. From there, we have to look at the environment the system is moving into, and it looks pretty damn good, guys. This is the upper level map, upper level wind flow, 200 millibars, which is going to take you to Saturday, evening. So Saturday evening, the first thing you'll notice is this really broad and strong upper level anticyclonic outflow. This is classic textbook upper level outflow from a hurricane. So hurricanes spin counterclockwise, as you guys probably know by now, in the low levels and mid levels. But in the upper levels, you actually have air leaving the top of the storm, and this actually wants to become anticyclonic. It wants to rotate clockwise with height. Sometimes outflow is restricted. When storms are dealing with wind shear, this is restricted, but this is literally as good as it gets for a hurricane or developing hurricane. The only issue that this storm may have with wind shear is there is probably going to be a Category 1 or so hurricane off the coast of western Mexico, off the west coast of Mexico, in the eastern Pacific basin around the same time. Some outflow from that storm could come across in the upper levels and could aggravate our storm a little bit. But if this thing is trucking along and healthy, that's not likely to be a big problem. If that's what you're banking on, is you can see it here. You can see there's going to be another hurricane on the map here, and then all this air coming across Mexico and kind of troughing down and out is what the outflow from that storm is. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it is the only thing. Otherwise, this whole region is just a big bubble of nothing going on in the upper levels, and that is not good news. If you don't want the hurricane to develop, then that is not good news because this is near perfect. Um, Moisture does not look to be a problem. Let's go into the GFS. This looks like you got a deep moisture field on all sides of the storm. There's a little bit of dry air, but not nearly enough. And without any wind shear, sometimes it's hard to get that dry air in there. This thing already has beautiful moisture. You know, you have your center somewhere in here tonight, and this wave axis has already got plenty of tropical moisture. And this upper low over Florida is just digging more moisture up out of the tropics for it, and it's probably going to pull more moisture across and into the Gulf as this approaches. So moisture doesn't appear to be a problem, and oceanic heat content and water temperatures are nowhere near a problem. This water is 86 to 90 degrees, and you can see there's some pockets here and here of potential extra fuel for this thing as it comes across if it takes a more north and east track to have plenty of fuel. So you've got great upper level outflow, you've got no wind shear or almost no wind shear, you've got great moisture, and you've got great oceanic heat content. Guys, this is concerning. It genuinely is concerning, and I think that the environment for this thing is going to be perfect. The two things that are going to limit the storm from intensity perspective is structure and timing and track, really. Timing and track, and then structure. The longer it takes to get organized, if it's falling over itself and can't align its centers, it can't organize and it can't grow, could help. Probably not very likely, but it could be an issue for it next day or two. And then when it gets into the Gulf, the track. Does it track north and east faster? Does it track slower and further west and spend more time over water? Other than that, there's really not a whole lot of limiting factors on the storm, and it's probably going to be a major hurricane. I think that it would almost shock me at this point if this system, as long as it stays on schedule, develops as a tropical storm by Cuba and gets into the Gulf. I would be shocked if it wasn't a major hurricane on landfall given these factors. This is about as good as it gets for a hurricane. So not great news. Track, so intensity wise, models are going to catch up to this. They're a little bit behind right now. Once this thing gets an established center, you'll see more of these models pushing in Cat 3, Cat 4, unfortunately. Looking at track guidance, the first really good statistic dynamic sort of models have clustered more towards Louisiana. They're following that more north and east side of the track. So that's one solution. But again, without a closed circulation center, these are only to be believed in some cases, and they are definitely going to windshield wiper potentially back and forth, and definitely don't look at this in Texas and go, oh, hey, I'm good, because let me show you this. This is the GFS ensembles. Now, the ensembles for a global model like the GFS, what you see here is the GFS computer model, one I've been showing you a couple times tonight over on Tropical Tidbits. Now, this is over on Weather Nerds. Um, this is the GFS ran over and over. The model just restarts itself and gives you like 30 or 40 different guesses. It changes little parameters and it changes little outcomes, and it tries to show you a range of options. All this is really showing you is a range of options. This is this morning's run. This is 0Z, or this is last night's GFS technically. This came out at like 8 o'clock last night, okay? Plenty of members into Mexico, some all the way east as far as Mississippi, a lot into, Texas. The meme was more into Texas. And then we go into 6Z, which is 2 a.m. this morning. You can notice a lot of trended up towards Texas. Some of those came in from Florida and Mississippi and stuff, and they clustered in a little bit around Texas and Louisiana, much less into Mexico. Then we go into early this afternoon. Some back into Mexico, but generally still Texas and Louisiana. And now the evening trends have actually shifted even further north, and the now consensus is more eastern Texas or Louisiana. So notice how the GFS has been shifting further and further north. Now, the European model is still sort of back and forth, but the bottom line is the confidence of a Texas-Louisiana landfall has come up significantly since yesterday, and has even now started to include portions of eastern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama are kind of on that. The goalpost is essentially moved from here to here and is now here to here. It hasn't. We haven't really had we haven't narrowed down an exact location, but the potential locations have shifted from Mexico, Texas, and maybe some of Louisiana to basically Texas or Louisiana is like kind of the new goalpost, if that makes sense. The goalpost that you're kicking the football through didn't shrink, but they did move physically where they are on the field, if that analogy is working for you. So this is really going to come down to the strength of the high pressure ridge over the eastern U.S. The European sees a bit weaker or a bit stronger high for a little while. The GFS has a weaker high. GFS subsequently is a bit further up into the east, while the European model on the operational runs anyway is a bit further to the west. And their ensembles, the GFS is leaning more on that east side of the track, where the European is leaning more on the west side of the track. Also, kind of falls in line with how these two models have a bit of a bias. So, bottom line is we really don't know a whole lot yet. Corpus Christi, Galveston, Houston, Cameron, New Orleans, Biloxi, even Mobile. I mean, no one knows yet. No one knows where this thing's going, but we know it's almost certainly going to be a strong storm, and it's not likely at this point to go into Mexico or Central America or anything like that. Those options are rapidly leaving the table tonight. And the bottom line is, folks out in this region of the Gulf Coast, northern and western Gulf Coast, I know you've been hit up, you've been just punched over and over and over in the last few years, but it looks like you got to get up, get some water, and get ready again, because yet another system is coming your way. And I have some reservations that this one could be a pretty strong one. I really don't like how this looks. I don't like how the wave looks tonight. I don't like how this upper air pattern is going to look over the Gulf of Mexico. So we're probably going to get tropical depression tomorrow afternoon. We're probably going to get a first forecast package, but that first forecast package, the cone's already going to be over land. I mean, we could have watches by Saturday. I mean, it's going to move pretty quick. I know it's Wednesday night, but things are going to start falling into place pretty quick, and tropical storm conditions could be starting if this thing takes a little more of a north and east pattern excuse me, as early as Sunday afternoon. So not a lot of time. No, it's a little too early to panic and run for the hills, but tomorrow is the day to start getting supplies, doing your plan, thinking about what you're going to do, and just stay glued to the forecast. We'll have all the updates here, but also National Hurricane Center, all the official outlets, your local EMS, etc., because you're going to have to be ready pretty quick, because this is not going to be one we get to watch for a long time. And again, it could really quickly intensify into a strong hurricane by the weekend. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with more and all the updates throughout landfall and the next system and beyond that, for as long as I do this. So until then, thanks for watching and have a good one.